So we illustrated in the previous video the application of itemized deductions in the computation of income tax return in the computation of income taxes. And now in this illustration, we'll tackle the same illustration as the one in our previous video, as well as compute using option. We'll use optional standard deduction in lieu of itemized deductions. So the same questions, we just simply change the itemized deductions to optional standard deduction. So let's try to compute once again. So this is the template computation for computing for the taxable income using OSD, or optional standard deduction. So we are not allowed to reduce our gross sales and receipts by the cost of sales because we are an individual. So we are an individual, therefore we are not allowed to reduce our gross sales and receipts by the cost of sales. This is only allowed if you're a domestic corporation. So we simply compute 40% of 1 million, and that would be 400,000, and the taxable income would therefore be 600,000. And again, you use this amount to compute for the income tax using the revised graduated income tax table. So I'll give you a minute to try and go over this tax table once again and compute for the income tax rate of Miss Afa. Alright, so I hope you tried answering this problem. So where do you think would be the range of the taxable income? What tax rate will we be using based on this graduated tax rate? So it would enter the third row, which is 400 to 800,000 pesos, right? And I hope you computed it correctly. Here you go. So the tax due on the first 400,000 would still be 30,000. And now the tax on the excess, which is 600,000 less 400,000 or 200,000 pesos, you multiply that by 25%, which is the applicable tax rate, and you will get 50,000 pesos. So the total income tax due for the year is 80,000 pesos. And if you will present this one in the income tax return, you will reduce this by the income tax already paid via 1701Q. So there are three 1701Q, and whatever income taxes paid during the year can be used to reduce this total income tax due. And similarly, the percentage tax would still be 30,000 pesos. And as we discussed previously, this would be paid over 4 quarters. So here are just some notes regarding optional standard deduction. So an individual who is entitled to and claim for the OSD shall not be required to submit with the tax return such financial statements otherwise required under the tax code as amended. So if you make use of OSD, so your expenses no longer need to be reported because there's nothing to audit for the expenses. All right. So that ends our lecture for the second illustration. And in the next video, we'll tackle option number 2 illustration. See you then.